One of my top strategies is buying properties from retiring landlords.
Okay.
People who've owned properties from 30, 40, 50 years, right? They paid probably pennies compared to what I'm paying them today. So the purchase price I'm paying them is already profit, right? They've collected rent for multiple years. So they've already gotten their money back on the property. So everything they're getting is all profit, right? And sometimes they're just tired. They want to retire. They want to move. They don't want to work anymore, whatever the situation may be, right? So I'll say, okay, I'm buying your house, Mr. Seller, for $100,000. You paid 20 grand for this house 30 years ago. All right. How about this? Let me go get a bank to finance this purchase. Right. I'll give you 80% of the purchase price from the bank. So now you're 4Xing your money into this deal and you've already collected your rent and you're into it for nothing. All right. And why don't you seller finance the down payment for 5 years? It's called a seller holdback. Right. Okay. So in 5 years, I'll make monthly payments to you for the last 20%. So I could buy this deal paying nothing but just closing costs. And when I implemented this strategy, I bought 300 houses over 2.5 years.
Family, before we get into this episode that is jam-packed filled with value, I got to take a second to tell y'all about my guy Sayam's 5-day challenge that's coming up. My brother, let him know what you got going on.
So July 8th, you need to be there. It's going to be 5 jam-packed days. We're giving you everything to go out there and start your real estate business. If you're a real estate investor that's been bumping your head trying to close your first deal, you need to be there. If you're brand new to real estate and you thought about being a real estate investor but didn't know how, where, or even what to do to get started, you need to be there. At the end of 5 days, you're going to have the 8-figure entity setup blueprint that I use to set up my business so you can, number 1, limit your liability, and 2, reduce what you got to pay Uncle Sam. At the end of 5 days, you're going to know how to analyze any market in the country and decide which is the best strategy to use in that market so you can go and attack it, whether it's the BRRRR strategy, fix and flip, or whatever it may be. At the end of 5 days, I'm literally handing you lender relationships that I built over the last 15 years, all right? So you can go out there and use these same lenders that I use in my business to close your first real estate transaction. At the end of 5 days, if that wasn't enough, I'm actually gonna be handing you hand-vetted deals that me and my team went through that's gonna have an average profit of $25,000 or more, all right? So you can go out there and put into practice what you spent the past 5 days learning. So you can go out there and do your first deal. I'm a big believer if you can close one deal and do one deal successfully, you can do 10, 20, 30, however it may be. You need to get through that first one.
There you go. Listen, you heard it from the man himself. If you haven't already, the link to the challenge is going to be in the description below. But family, back to the episode.
Let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Marvin Francois Show, your number one source for all things business, finance, and investing. And today is a very special day because our guest today is a real estate investor, mentor, developer, and mogul extraordinaire. He's the founder and CEO of Hero Homes University, a program that has leveraged his near 2 decades of experience in the industry to help thousands of his students go from thinking they were unable to picking up checks at the closing table. And if you're curious as to why, it isn't just because our guest's real estate portfolio is worth well over $80 million and counting. It isn't just because our guest owns over 600 doors domestically and internationally, but rather it's simply because his mission is to make real estate knowledge accessible to everyone. And today he's here to do more of the same. Ladies and gentlemen, from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, I'm here with the one, the only, my guy, Mr. Sayam Ibrahim. What's going on, family? How are you?
Let's go. What's up, man? Thank you for that great intro. I really appreciate it.
Man, I'm extremely excited to have you. You know, I got to roll out the red carpet for real estate royalty. Extremely excited to have you on here. I'm fortunate enough to be able to get connected with individuals like yourself that provide ridiculous amounts of value. And I know that this episode is going to be more or less the same. So I'm extremely excited, man. How you feeling?
I'm feeling great.
Good. Well, I know I did an okay job introducing you, but obviously nobody knows Sayam Ibrahim better than Sayam himself. So for those who aren't familiar, let's get them familiar. Who exactly is Sayam Ibrahim?
So who is Sayam Ibrahim? Sayam Ibrahim is a guy that was in the trenches for 15 years and working on his real estate business. Over the past 15 years, I've purchased over 1,300 properties, valued at over $250 million in transactions, right? So $250 million in transactions. That's fix and flips, buying rentals using the BRRRR strategy. That's new construction, buying multifamily properties, even buying hotels internationally, right? So we're well-versed in the entire real estate space. Not only that, as you mentioned, I've built a rental portfolio of over 600 doors, valued at over $80 million. But no one knows that, right? Right? That's why I'm here with you today.
There you go. Come on now. Well, I mean, I know that. That's why I said, let me go ahead and clear the schedule. Let me go ahead and move some things around because I got to speak to the man himself to see who he is and how he did it, but more importantly, break that down so that other people could do the same. And we're going to get to that in a second, but I want to unpack that a little bit more because obviously you're in a position now, nearly 2 decades in the real estate space. You are not new to this. You are true to this.
Exactly.
But obviously it wasn't always pretty and successful and bright lights the way it is right now, right? There was, I'm sure, a very long path that you had to go through to get there. Talk to me a little bit about that. Let's go back a couple years to 2008. From what I understand, you actually, before you got in real estate, used to work in Wall Street. Correct. How does someone go from having a career in the Wall Street, in the finance space, go from that to having the level of success he does now, nearly 2 decades later here in real estate?
Yeah. So that's a twofold question, right?
Yeah.
So, I've been in real estate now for almost 2 decades, right? We've had a lot of success in real estate. I personally believe that everyone can be in real estate, right? I know there's a big misconception that real estate's only for rich people, and that's cap. So I've had success, and we've made it to the top in real estate, and so I believe it's my mission to send the elevator back down and help as many people get into the business as possible. But like you said, it wasn't always that way. So 15 years ago, almost 2 decades ago, right? I'm a guy from Jersey in New York. Went to college, went to Georgetown University. So a great university, and son of 2 immigrant parents. And, I was always taught, go to school, go out there and get a job, right? And then that means you're successful, right? So after college, I went and got a job on Wall Street, so some might say it was a great job. On paper, I was successful. I was making 6 figures, right? But I was miserable, man. Right? I hated what I did. I would go to work each and every day dreading going to work, right? I was literally a slave to corporate America. And, after some time, I have a lovely wife now and two young daughters. I wanted to get married to my now wife, right? So I went to my boss and gave him a, 3 months heads up notice that I wanted to take 2 weeks off and get married with my now wife. My boss literally looked at me, sat back and laughed. And he said, "No, we can't give you that time and we need you in the office. Right? You make too much money for us," is what he said. Right. So I was furious. I was shocked. I was like, how? I'm literally giving my whole life working 80 plus hours a week, and the guy can't give me two weeks off. I was like, you know what? That was a big change for me right there. Right. It was at that moment that I knew I wanted to do something else. I no longer wanted to be a slave to corporate America. I didn't want to, work for the man, right? And it was at that moment that I decided that I wanted to go out and look for my next step in life. So I literally quit cold turkey from Wall Street. All right. So I was a Wall Street dropout. Right?
Okay, that's a good way to put it.
So Wall Street dropout turned real estate mogul over 15 years. And I left Wall Street. Didn't know what I was going to do next, but I knew I wanted to do something else. And I found real estate, right? Almost 2 decades later, we've done 1,300 deals,
going out
plus, and so it's clearly a good decision. But at the time, everyone thought I was crazy. Right. My family thought I was crazy. My dad practically disowned me, saying you have the chance of being a multimillionaire. You're gonna leave it for real estate. Real estate's for rich people. You don't know anything about real estate. The naysayers, right? So I actually had to X out all those negative voices and go out and just took a leap of faith. And luckily it all came together, right? Between hard work, determination, learning and educating myself, I was able to be successful in the business.
So I'm curious to know, at that time, once again, you're in a situation where from the outside looking in, so many people may look at you and be like, oh, this guy's set for life. Like, he never has to do anything. He could just kick his feet up, go in Wall Street, make a couple 6 figures, get himself up, work himself up to that 7-figure mark, and he's caking from now to the end of time. You quit cold turkey. Of all the different industries, what was it about real estate that drew you into ultimately where you knew that was the next step you wanted to take? Yeah,
so you could determine your own fate, right? So I was not determined by somebody else deciding whether it's successful or not, right? I go out, I find a property. The property is based off of the comparables, right? So you know what it's worth because other homes like it, are selling around that price. You can decide how big you want to take it and how small you want to take it, right? And it was something that you could leverage. Right. So coming from the Wall Street space, I knew a little bit about leverage. Right. But I knew nothing about real estate. Right. So let me actually talk about my first 2 deals. I think that might put in perspective.
Yeah.
So my first deal was in Newark, New Jersey. Right. We bought a house. My brother and I bought a house. We bought a house for $45,000. Didn't know anything about real estate. All we knew was that it was an ugly house surrounded by pretty houses, and that was our whole model. That was like, all right, this is gonna make money. Yeah. Right. We knew nothing, and we luckily made money. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than to be, right. 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 We made $60,000 in that first deal. My second deal, though, right, I got smacked in the face with reality. Right? I lost everything I made on my first deal and some. All right. And at this time, my wife was pregnant. Right. Wow. And I was having my first baby, and I fell into a little bit of a depression. Right. So I believe you got to go through something to get to something, right? And I think this is my going through something right now because it was months of just me thinking about myself like, how could I fail? How could I not do this? And I knew that real estate was successful because I know other people, it makes millionaires every day, right? Other people are doing well in it. That first deal was a little taste of success in real estate. So, I went out and I started networking with people. Right. I'm a big believer that your net worth is your network. Right. And so I went out there and started networking, and I found this guy that had been in real estate for over a decade before that time. And he took a liking to me, and he said, hey, look, let me show you how to find properties off market. Let me show you how to analyze these properties. I mean, that second deal, I thought I was going to renovate for $30,000, spend 80 grand on it. Right. And I didn't have the 80 grand at the time. So I was scrambling for money. Right. I was maxing this credit card, maxing that credit card, robbing Peter to pay Paul. So taking from this one to make this payment. Right. So I literally, it was a struggle. Right. And that one mentor changed my entire life. Right. Showed me systems, showed me how to do the deal, how to do deals, how to do the business the right way. And, the rest is history, right? So, like I said, over 1,000 deals done. So,
yeah, 600 doors internationally, domestically, 80 million portfolio in county. I think you did okay.
I think I did all right.
You did all right. I think what attracted me to you and why I was so excited to get you on here is I'm a proponent of people who have not only created success for themselves, but have also paved the way for other people coming after them so that they wouldn't have to make half the mistakes that they made along the way. And just looking more into you and your story, and seeing the impact that you've had on people, not just only in Florida, but literally nationwide that have been wanting to get started in real estate, that have sung your praises. Could you talk a little bit about the success that your students and mentees have been able to have since working with you?
Absolutely. So I take a personal approach, right? I don't take on a lot of mentees because I actually want to work very closely with each individual. So I'll give a couple even names, right? You guys can look them up. They're on the IG, Facebook. Yeah. Katie Sotka, right? Worked with her for a few years. She came from the restaurant space. She was a manager of a restaurant, smart woman, but didn't know anything about real estate. We started working together, and over the span of 5 years, right, she was able to retire, and she moved her entire family to Mexico. Right. And because she built a rental portfolio of 40 homes, producing enough cash flow where she didn't have to go and grind every day. Right. Now she buys a house when she wants to because she wants to make a fix and flip just to get a little pop, but she doesn't need to. And that's the beauty of real estate. That's the beauty of passive income. Right. So I preach it all day, every day, twice on Sunday. Right.
Come on now.
So, if you can make money while you're sleeping, it's the best way to do it because it comes each and every month. You spend that 10K, that 15K you got in passive income. You know what? Guess what? It comes again next month.
Yes, sir.
And it comes again next month. So that's one of my biggest things that I teach my students.
I love it. And for me, once again, being able to bring you on here, I love the movers and shakers of their respective industries, whether it's trucking, whether it's consulting, my space of credit and beyond. When we talk real estate, I get excited because there's so many different bells and whistles that go into it. Moreover, I know that my audience eats, sleeps, and breathes anything and all things real estate. And when I bring people like yourself on here, it's cool to talk about your story. You understand? Sure. It's cool for us to sit here and talk about the success the other students have, but I love to make my interviews almost like a free masterclass to where we're breaking the game down. To where if you watch this episode, you can't walk away and not know step by step, how I can go in real estate and not just do okay, but crush it. Right. Absolutely. So I want to break that game down for the people. Is that all right with you?
Yeah, that's what I came to do.
I just want to make sure. I came to
give real game today, man.
Let's go. Let's do it. Let's break it down, right? So let's really walk through the real estate game and really break this thing down for people who are interested in getting started, who have already got started and need a sense of guidance on how to do this thing the right way, right?
Absolutely.
Let's start off first with the acquisition part of real estate, right? Can't do real estate without having the deals. We need to go out there and find deals to go ahead and get our foot in the door. If I'm an investor and I'm watching this right now, regardless of if I'm looking to get started or if I've already started and I've only been in the game a couple of years, what are the actionable steps that I need to take when it comes to getting started in real estate and finding a deal or finding my first deal?
Absolutely. 95% of the real estate investors out there or people that want to get in real estate, they said, I want to get a deal. They start looking on the MLS with the realtor and they're competing against all the other people looking for deals out there, right? 98% of the deals that we've done over the past 15 years have been direct to owner, right? So we look for motivated situations that make a seller motivated and we offer them help in their situation. And by that, it's a win-win for both parties, right? So there's 3 lead sources that have been the best for me and my business. The first one being people are delinquent on taxes.
Okay.
Right. In almost every city, I'd probably say every city in the country, you got to pay property taxes if you own a property, right? And if you don't pay those property taxes, the city will auction off those taxes as a lien and eventually a deed to someone who pays those taxes to the city. All right, so you can lose your property for thousands of dollars, even though your property is worth hundreds of thousands or even millions. Right. So that's a very motivated situation. They have a definite timeline where they need to resolve something, and they have a situation where they show some distress financially, right? And you can come and offer a solution to them. So let's give you an example.
Let's do it.
Right. So if I'll pull it up on the screen actually in a second if you let me do that.
But yeah, of course.
If someone owes $5,000 and they have to pay it by September 1st, right? We will look at that list. Most people, they'll go and try to participate in that auction, which is okay. You can win a good deal every once in a while, but you're competing against the JP Morgan Chases of the world, competing against the Bank of Americas, people with far deeper pockets than us, right? And they'll pay more than we will pay because they have deeper pockets, right? I like to reach out to those people 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 weeks before the auction, right? Via cold calling, via texting, via direct mail. And we let them know, hey, I have a solution for you, right? And we like to piss them off a little bit. I realize that when you piss somebody off, you get them to call you back, right?
Okay. So now you said something that made my ears perk up, right? Because I thought we just come here to talk real estate. You want to be able to show the people step by step as well how they can take the actionable steps necessary to have success in this space.
Absolutely.
So let's go ahead and break that down. Josh, can we put that up on screen? Is that possible? Can we go ahead and put that on screen? So we want to go ahead and be able to show people. So right now, right now we're looking at your laptop screen, and we want to be able to show people step by step how they can go ahead and have the level of success they need to have in this space. So once again, starting off with the finding of the deal, how can we go about finding these individuals that you're talking about that find themselves in tax delinquent situations? They need to get this property off of their hand, right? What does that process look like?
Yeah. So I'm going to show you something that 98% of other real estate investors don't know and don't even know how to approach.
Let's do it.
All right. So let's look at this. All right. Now, every county in the country has a delinquent tax list, whether they publish it or you can call them, they'll email it to you, or you got to go down to the county if it's a county that's not as tech savvy, right? This is, I have Florida counties up here now. I live in Florida. I invest in Florida. I invest in Georgia. I invest in Ohio. I've done investments in Jersey. We've done investments in Maryland, Texas. So we could do this anywhere in the country, right? So let's just look at this list right here.
So now, just so I have full context, this is the official website and every state has a website like this.
Every county has a website. This is Duval County, it's Jacksonville, Florida.
Okay, got you.
Right? So if you look at it, I'm out, a month out. July 17th is the next tax deed auction, which means they're going to sell these properties for the tax amount owed, right? So let's click open and look at it. And we start looking at properties. We have this house right here in Jacksonville, right, where the starting bid is $2,300. You have this house. You can keep going down the list, right? And I'll show you. I have a couple of counties opened up just so you can see. Right. I have another county here, right, just so you can see. I have another county here, Broward County, where I live. You see, these are the upcoming tax auctions, right? And you see, $28,000 opening bid. It's assessed at $176, meaning it's even worth higher than that, typically, right? Though the opening bid is typically the amount owed in taxes, so at least it gives us that amount of information, right? You have the property address. Once you've compiled the list like this, now you can do this manually yourself, or you can hire a virtual assistant to do this for you for a few bucks an hour, and they can compile the entire list for you. Once you've gotten this list, you see everyone coming up. Right, all of them coming up are here. You're literally copy and paste into an Excel spreadsheet. Once you've got this list, then the next thing you need to do is skip trace the list. Skip tracing is when you go to some software and it gives you all the contact information for the owner. It could be the email address, the phone numbers, different ways to contact that owner so you can reach out and offer a solution. All right.
So to make sure I understand, we go to our county's tax deed sale website.
Tax deed sale, tax collector's office. Every county calls it something different, but it's publishing information on delinquent taxes.
We go there. We're now able to pull information from individuals that are in tax delinquent situations and their houses are getting ready to get sold off.
Correct.
We are able to jump the gun, get access to lists just like this that show us house after house, which ones are in tax delinquent status, to where we can now pull this list, use the information in this list and plug it into a skip trace website to get the direct contact for these people.
Yes,
and
sir.
Essentially, before it gets to the auction, we can get in contact with them and buy the house off of them through the information we have.
Exactly. You reach out to the seller, negotiate with the seller, come to some type of agreement, right? Now, your pitch to that seller is, hey, look, your tax auction's coming, right? So someone's going to kick you out of your house in 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks. Why would you give up all your equity? Why would you give all the money you have in that property? Why would you let someone else kick you out of your home? let's have an A/B conversation, right? Not everyone after this one person at the auction, and see if we can come to a situation where I can pay off the taxes, put some money in your pocket. I'll get the property. Now you have money to go on to your next situation in life, right? So it's a win-win for everybody.
It's a win-win for everybody. Okay, I didn't mean to interrupt. You can keep going. So we're here. Yeah. We're here on this tax website. So now whether it's you yourself or you're using a VA, you pull the information, and then what's the website we go over to now get the contact information for these people?
The website I like to use is bulkskiptrace.com.
Okay.
Right. So you'll upload the spreadsheet to their site, and within 24 hours, sometimes even less, they're going to email you a spreadsheet back with all the contact information, the phone numbers, the email addresses for all the owners on that list.
Got you. So from there, we upload it, we get the list, the contact information. Now, once again, this could be a very lofty list. We're talking about hundreds, maybe thousands upon thousands of names.
Yeah.
What is that process of are we literally sitting down there and cold calling each and every single person one by one? Are we sending out an SMS blast? What does that process look like?
So you can do either, right?
Okay.
So we like to touch them from three different angles.
Okay.
We'll do an SMS, we'll do cold calling, and then we'll do direct mail. Right. And when you're doing direct mail, I've learned, and even via text messaging, when you piss somebody off, you get them to call you back. Right. So one of our best campaigns has been, hey, your tax auction's coming. Have you packed yet? Right.
Oh,
and you get all these people calling you saying you inconsiderate SOB, right? All these different things, and it's your job to talk them off a ledge, right? And so you're saying, hey, look, your auction's coming, and essentially give them the same spiel I just told you before. Are you gonna let someone else kick you out your house? I've been trying to reach you via text, via direct mail. I haven't got a response, so I had to get you to call me, right? And thank you for calling me. Let's see if I can help you save some of your equity, put some money in your pocket so you can move on to your next situation. Let me pay these taxes off, so and then we'll take care of the house. And I invite you to come see it after we renovate it, because you're gonna love what we do with it.
Got you. And then from there, obviously, is now it's just a numbers game, right?
Exactly.
I get 1,000 people's number. Maybe I'm able to get on the phone with, let's say, 100 of them. Out of the 100, maybe I'm able to close get one or two of them to agree. You know what? You make sense. You're probably right. Let me go ahead and sell this house off to you. And then from there, what happens after that?
Yeah, sure. So I'll give you my numbers, right?
Yeah,
so
let's do
real numbers. So we reach out to 1,000 people, which usually generates 25 to 30 phone calls.
Okay.
Right. 25 to 30 meaningful conversations, better to say, right?
Yeah.
After those 25 to 30 meaningful conversations, we look at 5 to 6 properties, which usually we end up buying 1 or 2 of those, right?
Gotcha.
So those are my numbers. So it's a numbers game, just like you said. Right. So once you've got the contact information, you can cold call them yourself, or you can hire a VA. There's tons of websites that offer VAs, virtual assistants, and they typically cost anywhere from $3 to $8 an hour to do it, right? One deal will pay for virtual assistants for the entire year, right? So don't be too put off by that price,
right?
And then we'll actually do direct mail to them. So this is the website that I like to use to do direct mail. It's called yellowletterscomplete.com. So I'll give you a quick story about when I first started. I told you I got a mentor, right? And it was Friday night. My mentor's like, hey, you got your list. I want you to write 1,000 handwritten yellow letters, right? If you remember when you were in school, you had those yellow notebooks where you flip the page over, got the blue lines.
Yeah.
Right? He's like, you got to do handwritten letters because people respond to handwritten letters better than something typed up and printed, right? I was like, all right. So me and my brother, Xavier, literally spent all weekend handwriting 1,000 letters.
Absolutely not.
Right?
Get that out of here. That's crazy.
On Monday, when we got on the phone with the mentor, he was like, we're like, man, we did it. We did 1,000 letters. We banged it out all weekend. Our hands are gonna fall off. I think I got carpal tunnel, but we did it. And he was like, are you an idiot? He was like, you should just done one and then photocopied it 999 times.
That's
I was like,
crazy.
Dang,
that's hilarious, right?
So,
well, I mean, the lessons of an up and comer in the real estate game. But you live and you learn. Wow. Okay. But with this platform here essentially does it for
They'll
us.
do it all for you. You send the list with the mailing addresses of the owners, and they will handwrite the letters. They will put the posters on it, mail it out. So all you gotta do is sit back and wait for the phone calls to start coming in.
Got you. Now, here's where it gets interesting, right? So we're not going to the MLS or any of these other super popularized places to find properties. We're going to these tax delinquent resources to find people that are in situations they're trying to get out of.
Correct.
We get the information. We plug it into SkipTrace. From there, we plug it into SkipTrace. We get their contact. We can use VAs that we can get from different websites. What are some of the different I know some on my end. Do you have any websites that you recommend?
Upwork is one that's pretty well known. There's Fiverr out there. There's onlinejobs.ph, right, to get virtual assistants in the Philippines.
There you go.
Right, there's dozens of them out there. Those are all 3 that I've used in the past.
There you go. So we get either we could do it ourselves, do like an SMS blast or just cold calling one by one if you have the time, or you can hire a VA to go ahead and do that for you. And then we have this letter here. So we're kind of hitting them in multiple different angles. We're calling, we're texting, we're sending actual physical letters. Cool. Now, once we get people to call back and say, yes, I'll agree to move forward, we're not just jumping the gun and saying, all right, cool, let me get the property. We got to do some numbers. Real estate is a numbers game, right? So how do we now, once we find, let's say 2, 3, 4, 5 people that's like, yes, I'm willing to go ahead and work out a deal with you. What are we looking at in terms of the numbers to analyze this property to know, okay, this is a deal that makes sense for us to move forward with?
So there's two answers to that question, right? The first answer is the quick approach, right? So I'm not running in numbers on every single call that comes in. We do a lot of marketing, right? We reach out to 100,000 sellers a month in my business. But we're a couple years into this, right?
Yeah.
So we're analyzing it, and all the VAs actually know how to do this as well.
Right.
So we want to be all in on any of our investments at no more than 70% of what that property is going to be worth when it's done.
Okay.
So let's put in perspective. We have a house that's going to be worth $100,000. Clearly not in New York City, right?
Definitely not.
Okay.
Definitely not.
$100,000. We want to be all in with purchase, renovation, all of our holding costs at 70% of that number.
Okay.
So $70,000. So we can backtrack that. If we walk the property, we get a conversation, we get an idea that the property is a $10,000 renovation. We take $100,000 times 70%. That's $70,000 minus $10,000. We mean that that means that our maximum offer on that property is $60,000 in that scenario, right? Now that's a ballpark number. This is that we can throw out offers. Once we get some offers that stick, you see that you guys are in the ballpark, then we put it through our Flip to Freedom calculator that we've put together.
Okay.
And we see what the real numbers are on that deal going in.
Got you. Okay, got you. So the golden number is 70%. And that's kind of like a filter for us when it comes, just to make sure that if we have 20 people saying, yes, buy my property, the 70% kind of filters through to say like, okay, out of y'all 20, it's really only like 2 or 3 of you guys that actually makes sense for me. That makes sense for us to move forward.
Our VAs or the investor themselves are going to get on the phone call with these sellers, and they're going to go through a seller lead sheet, right? And they're going to say, all right, so when's the last time you did the roof on that home? When's the last time you did the windows? When's the last time you upgraded your electrical? You get a ballpark figure of all the renovations that are needed on that property just from a conversation, not ever actually going to the property, right? That's the importance of asking the right questions when you're on the phone with those sellers, right? And so, all right, you determine, all right, this property needs $10,000 renovation. So off the rip, they can say, all right, this house is worth $100,000. I think there's $10,000 in rehab. I know I need to be maximum at $60,000. Right. That's our maximum allowable offer we can make to make sure we're buying it right every single time. The safest way to do a good deal is buying it right.
There you go.
Right?
So we have that number to work with. You mentioned something about it. What is the freedom? What is it? The freedom fund?
Flip to Freedom calculator.
Flip to Freedom. What is the Flip to Freedom calculator? Can you break that down for me?
So I mentor students and I actually charge for this, but I'm giving this to you guys right now. I'm gonna break it down for you guys right now.
Let's do it.
All right. So let's just say we have a deal that we're looking at and actually made this calculator, right? And it's going to give you all the numbers on the deal. It's so easy, guys. It's so easy when you look at a deal that people forget so many costs that actually go into doing that deal, right? People think you buy a house for $100,000, you put $50,000 into it, and you sell it for $200,000, you made $50,000. When in reality you did not, right? You probably made more like $20,000 because you have holding costs, interest to your lenders. You have closing costs when you buy it, closing costs when you sell it. You have insurance, utilities, lawn care. I mean, there's costs among costs that go into doing a deal. This makes sure that you don't forget any of those costs in that deal.
Okay.
All right.
So this simplifies the process of just us knowing not just focusing on the 70% number, but all the other different numbers.
Correct.
The fine print of what we need. Okay, got you. Break this down for me.
Let's look at a deal that I recently did. Let's say we bought a house for $100,000. All right, and we're going to put $30,000 in renovations to this property, and it's going to be worth $180,000 when it's all said and done. All right, seems like a pretty decent deal.
Right.
Our average deal takes about 6 months. Okay, so I like to use 6 months as a default. I don't like new investors to use less than 6 months because you're being a little bit overly optimistic. Let's put it in perspective. You buy a house on day one, it takes you a couple weeks to get your contractor, get your permits if you're going to do permits, right? It's now your month into that deal, right? Then you spend 2 months renovating that house, right? So now you're 3 months in. You put on the market, not every house sells overnight, right? Let's just say you have a month on the market. Now you're 4 months in. The average time frame for a retail buyer to close using finance is 45 to 60 days. Right. So now you're 6 months into the deal. So I like people to use 6 months as a minimum. And that's as a minimum. That's if everything goes right.
Right.
So
wow. Okay.
So 6 months on the deal. Property tax, you can get that right from Zillow, right, or any one of those websites. Insurance costs, I like to estimate that it's about half of what property taxes are going to be, and that usually tends to be the case. And then your utility costs. So now you have your monthly holding costs just for owning that property. All right. Then we have in here, your closing agent. So you're going to use a title company, attorney, depending which state you're on. They're going to charge you the same thing no matter where you are. So $500 to $1,000 tends to be the standard. You're only editing what's in like the orange color, right? Everything else is automatically calculated for you. All right. Then you're going to here's your financing. We use three different types of financing when we're buying deals. We use hard money, we use private money, and then we use the seller, all right?
We're going to break that down in a second.
I'm going to break that down for you in a few minutes.
Okay.
Yes. So our hard money will pay up to 95% of the total cost of the deal.
Okay.
I'm going to say that again, guys. Up to 95%.
Basically the entire thing.
Almost the entire thing.
Right.
All right. Almost the entire thing. So let's just use 90%. Let's say you're a new investor. Maybe you do 90%, right? And 2 points, 11%. I can explain that if you guys want me to. But if you're using a private money lender, it's right here as well. We're not using private. Let's say we use our own money, right? So boom, that's there. All right. When you sell the property, you have cost here as well. You're going to use the same title company typically that you use to buy it. A realtor is usually going to sell that property, right? That's 5 to 6%. And then you have, any other fees. I like to offer a home warranty in all the houses I list. Are you familiar with what a home warranty is?
I'm not. Break it down.
All right. So it differentiates you from all the other people on the market, right?
Okay.
So you're essentially telling your buyer, hey, I'm going to pay for a third party to give you a warranty and all the major expenses on this home for 1 year from the day you buy my house. Puts a little bit ease of mind to them, right?
1,000%.
Now, if there's 10 homes they're looking at, they're like, I'm going to go with the one that got the warranty, right?
Right.
And it costs about $500 to $800 total. So it's not even that much. So
where do we get that from?
Any of the realtors you work with, most of the brokerages got companies they work with. So just ask them for it.
Got you.
Right? So $550 here for the warranty. I have here $1,000 for any miscellaneous fees, appraisals, whatever you need for your hard money lender. Now you have all your costs. Now it breaks down what all the money in the deal goes. You sell for $180. We have our purchase price, our rehab costs, our financing costs, our holding costs, our buying costs, and then our closing costs. So where the whole $180,000, where it went is broken down right here. And it tells you how much money do we need to own and hold this deal for 6 months. That's our holding costs. That's our down payment. That's our closing costs. Right? What a lot of new investors don't do, okay, is they literally don't factor the holding cost. So they buy the home, they get enough money to buy the house, and now they're struggling throughout the entire rehab process because they don't have the money to make the payments.
Come on now.
All right.
Wow. Okay. And this breaks all of that down.
All that down. Goodness gracious. Here's where it puts it all together and tells you if you got a good deal or not.
Let's do it.
You go to the top, and it tells you what your net profit after everything is all said and done.
Okay.
And what your ROI or return on investment on the total cost of the deal is, 17%. So I would do this deal all day, every day, twice on Sunday.
3 times on a Wednesday?
3 times on a Wednesday.
Okay,
man.
got you.
All right.
Anytime, so for you, is it a specific note in terms of the ROI percentage? As long as it's net positive, you would do it, or does it have to be at a certain threshold or higher?
So I like a minimum of 15% ROI on the deal because the way I look at it is there's always things that come up. You never know, right? I've done 1,000 deals, and I can't estimate everything that's going to happen on every deal 100% accurately, right? So when you have a good ROI, you have margin, and margin keeps you safe, right? So if we go in with a 17% ROI, but something comes up that we weren't planning, or it takes 1 extra month to own that house, and we end up at a 14% ROI, are we still okay? All right. If you start off at a 5 and you end at a 1, you're like, did I really even have to really do this deal? Right.
Right.
So,
okay, got you.
Listen, if you're an entrepreneur struggling to get funding because of your bad credit, then this video is for you. You see, I understand that when banks deny businesses for funding, they're not just denying businesses the capital they need, but they're also denying business owners the resources that they need to build the business of their dreams. And as a business owner, I've seen this happen over and over and over and over again, but I want you to know that there's a solution. Because here at Takeoff Financial, we've helped countless entrepreneurs just like you go from having poor personal credit and not being able to access funding to having perfect personal credit that they were able to leverage to access 5 to 6 figures in funding, and we want you to be the next one. So click the link above or below this video to secure your free consultation, and we'll see you on the other side of success, family.
So first off, we've had a lot of real estate investors, a lot of great real estate investors. This is my first time actually seeing numbers broken down in real time. So this is incredible. Are we getting this? Can I give this to my audience? Are we gonna be able to get this calculator?
Would you like it?
I would love this calculator. I'm not even an investor. I'm not even an investor. Can we get this to the audience?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's make it happen. Let's do it. Because
this
is incredible. We'll talk more about that a little bit later on in the video. But diving deeper into the numbers itself, so this was a very crystal clear picture of you just like once again walking through like a real deal in real time, right? Breaking everything down. I'm curious to know. Obviously, numbers are everything, but as a new investor, beyond just the numbers, is there anything else anything outside of what we're seeing here that we need to be cognizant of that could potentially sway us in saying like, okay, even though the numbers are saying this is a good deal because of X, Y, or Z, I don't think it would make sense for me to do whatever that may be, just based on your experience being in the space.
Yeah. So for us in our business, when I say us, my brothers are my business partner. All right. So Emil, Xavier, and I have our brother from another mother, Jonah. Right. That's our business partner for years. And we only like doing a deal when it has multiple exit strategies.
Okay.
Right. So I never like being pigeonholed into one deal where the only way I can make money or the only way this deal is successful is if I sell it. Right. Because that's how you get burned. I've gotten burned on some deals that I've done. I'm not going to say that every 100% of the deals we've done has been crystal clear. Anybody who tells you that is cap. Right. So what I realized from that, right? That's why I'm a big believer in constantly educating yourself, right? When I was doing 100 deals, I was still learning. I was doing 200 deals, I was still learning. Shoot, when I was doing 500 deals, I'm still learning. I'm 1,300 deals in, I still learn stuff, right? Yeah. So I'm a big believer that the more you learn, the more you earn, right? And so when I learned this one thing, to make sure that all your deals have multiple exit strategies, it changed the entire spectrum of my business, man, right? It allowed us to really scale, go hard, and really start accumulating properties, because every one of the deals I do works as a flip. Every one of the deals I do works as a rental property.
Interesting. And so that was a perfect segue too. So when we're doing the numbers for you in your experience, there isn't how we do the numbers for a fix and flip is the same way of how we would go about doing the numbers for a buy and hold.
99% of the time, right?
Okay.
So the yes and how we buy it is the same, right?
Okay.
I want to be all in at 70%. I want to do all this stuff because I utilize the BRRRR strategy. By doing that, for those who don't know what the BRRRR strategy is, when you buy a property, renovate it, you rent it out, you refinance it, and then you repeat the process to build a rental portfolio, right? And I love rentals. So it allows you to do that because most banks cap you at refinancing 70 to 75% of what that property is worth. So if I'm all in at 70, guess what? I'm taking all the money in that deal out of it, paying my lenders off. If I have money, pull my money out, and I keep that property long-term with no money into it at all, right? I keep the equity, I keep the appreciation, I get to use the depreciation. I got all the benefits, the cash flow, right? So all the benefits of owning real estate, right? I get to use it without having any money invested in it. But here's where it does change. There's something called DSCR, right? Okay. So for those of you watching this, make sure you write this down. It's really important if you're interested in getting rental properties. It stands for debt service coverage ratio. It makes sure that the property produces a surplus to what it costs to own it every month, right? So and I see a lot of new investors make this mistake. I got a property, the mortgage is $1,000. I can rent it for $1,100. That's not a surplus. You got one water heater go bad. Now you lost all your cash flow for 2 years, right? Okay, yeah. So you want to make sure that you have a nice cushion, and most banks require to have a 1.2 surplus. So it needs to produce 20% more cash flow than when it costs to own it. In my business, I like using 1.4, right? So if that's the only caveat, is if I'm going to keep it as a rental or I'm even consider it, it needs to be a hit of 1.4 debt service coverage ratio or better.
That's good. That's very, very good. Okay, got you. So when it comes to the acquisition side of this, you just broke it down step by step. I might just go buy a property once we finish this podcast. You understand? You broke this thing down step by step, piece by piece. So we found the property. We found the motivated seller. We was hitting them from every angle we possibly could. Mail, email, cold call, whatever it may be. We got them. We ran the numbers. The numbers make sense. It's time for us to move forward and go ahead and secure the deal. Here's the problem. I'm a new investor. I ain't got no money. I'm looking high and I'm looking low. I'm looking near and I'm looking far. I ain't got a dollar. I ain't got 2 coins to rub together, right? But I want this property. I'm ready to secure my deal. I'm ready to secure my first deal. What are some of the different ways that we can go about setting up financing to go ahead and secure this property?
So what if I told you there's money out there waiting for you, more money than you ever need to use on your deals, waiting for you to go out there, and they want to give you money.
Okay.
All right? Because they don't make money unless they lend money to you. People like you, people like me, they don't care about your credit score. They don't care about your bank statements. They don't care about anything. What they care about is that you have a good deal. So it all starts with a good deal, right? Even me, myself, right? Today, I don't know, when I go put a deal in contract to buy it, I don't know how I'm going to fund it. But I know that it's going to happen because the deal is good, right? So I commit to doing the deal and then I figure the rest out later, right? Now, Hard money lenders are out there. You can Google any city. If you're in Cleveland, if you're in Indianapolis, if you're in New York City, if you're in Newark, New Jersey, if you're in Baltimore, Maryland, if you Google your city and Google hard money lenders, there's gonna be dozens, if not hundreds of options out there ready to give you money for your real estate deals today. Now, don't worry about the interest rate. Don't worry. I know everyone talks about the interest rate's high, real estate's impossible because interest rate's high. Those are naysayers. Cut those people out, right? Factor the interest rate into the deal, right? And if the deal still produces a positive number, let the other people make money. The more money they make, guess what? They're going to call you back when you pay them off. Say, hey, you got another one for me, right? And then, I know I gave you 90% last time. I'll give you 95% this time because you proved yourself, right? So hard money lenders is the first step if you're looking for funding for your deal that I would start with, right? Okay. And, I have one hard money lender that I've used.
Let's break it down. Let's do it.
Dozens of times, if not hundreds of times. It's called Kiavi.
Okay.
Right. So these guys are very simple. It's all online. Right. So they do fix and flip. They do new construction. Remember I said DSCR,
Got you.
rental loans, and then they do portfolios if you want to refinance or finance a portfolio of properties. Right. So this is great. You can use them for the fix and flip. When the property's done, renovated, and rented, you go back to them again and refinance on a 30-year note so you can keep that property for cash flow.
Come on.
Right. So you don't have to go anywhere else.
Right.
So this is one. Right. I'll show you. You go to fix and flip, boom, gives you the terms. 9% interest rate.
Wow.
$100,000 loans up to $3 million on a house, up to 95% of the purchase price.
Right.
Bro,
just like you said, not new to this, true to this, ladies and gentlemen.
Right. Up to 80% of the after repair value.
Right.
I like to use 70%, I told you. I want to be more conservative than them.
Right.
Right? Because it's your money in the end. You want to make sure you're making money when you do it. And they'll give you 12, 18, and 24-month terms, and they'll give you 100% of the renovation costs. I'm going to say that again. 100% of the renovation costs. All right?
Come on,
bro.
Now. And this is, what's the name of it?
Kiavi.
Now, this is, regardless of if I'm in Cleveland, if I'm in Texas, if I'm in Cali, if I'm in New York, I can use this as a resource.
And then in all 50 states.
Got you. Listen, after this episode, Kiavi gonna need to cut you a check. You better send us with the business.
I think I need to make a phone call.
Yeah, you're gonna have to make a couple phone calls. Okay, but this is the go-to resource, and this is a hard money lender.
Hard money lender.
So here's my question, right? Because like I said, I've sat down with my fair share of investors.
Sure.
You talked about hard money. You also said there was a third option. We're gonna talk about that. I'm gonna hold you to it. We gotta get to it. Yeah. I've also heard about private money.
Yes, sir.
What is the difference between hard money and private money? And as an investor, which one should make more? How do I differentiate which one should make more sense for me?
Yeah. So as a new investor, you're probably going to start off with hard money, right? Because they're professional lenders. They're there. They're willing and ready, able to give you money. Private money is the exact opposite of a hard money lender. It's relationship money, right? It's anyone that you meet in your life that can be a potential private money lender. Anyone that's looking to make more money than what they're making today, where their money is, whether money's in the couch or whether it's in, a mutual fund or whether it's in, stocks, whatever it may be, right? Bonds. They're looking to make more money today for what they're making now. So you have to do two things when you're talking to a private money lender. You want to show them how you're going to keep their money safe, and you want to show them how they're going to make more money with you, right? And I can break that down if you guys want.
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. I guess I don't even know why I asked,
let's do it. I need the game. I need all the game. Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so I'll give you guys a couple stories of where we raise private money and give you the pitch that we use. This is the same pitch I use to raise millions of dollars.
Let's do it.
In my real estate business. You guys are getting it today, guys.
Yeah, let's go.
All right, cool. All right, so you want to show them how their money's secured working with you, right? How's their money secured? It's secured with the real estate property that they're lending or investing in, right? So they have a tangible asset securing their money. People, I know the past couple of years, crypto's been huge, right? But when you buy a Bitcoin, what do you get? An email, like maybe you log into your app, you see that you own, 0.5 Bitcoin, right? You don't have anything tangible. If they want to go out and they want to see the house, they can see it. If they want to feel it, they can feel it. If they want to smell it, they can smell it, right? I mean, they probably want to smell some of the houses we're doing, but they could if they wanted to,
right?
And so they have collateral, and that collateral is that tangible asset, the house. So they essentially get to be the bank on the transaction, right? And their collateral is below market value. I just told you that if I'm buying a house, I'm all in at 70% of what that property's worth. So if something were to happen to me, guess what? They not only get their money back, but they get the property, so they get my profit in addition to that, right? So they're secured in that regard. And the collateral is fully insured. So if the house burns down tomorrow, guess what? They get paid back in full from the insurance company. Right?
Wow.
So,
okay.
They love hearing that.
Right.
It makes them feel, you just want to make them feel warm and cushy that their money is safe with you, right?
Facts. Yeah.
And if you can show them an actual asset, an actual property, it just helps it close the deal that much easier. And you want to ask them, what are they making now? What is your money currently investing in now? So is your money invested in stocks? Okay, great. What'd you make last year in your stock market? In the stock market. Most people, believe it or not, are going to say, I'm not sure. people look at their statement, they don't even know what they're looking at.
Right.
But they're like, they're proud that they own Amazon, right?
Yeah.
But don't even know what they made.
Right.
So like, all right, well, let's look at your statement. You made 5% last year. All right. What if I can show you an opportunity where you can make 8% on your money? All right.
That's a different conversation.
Yes.
It's a very different conversation.
Don't ask for money, show the opportunity.
Right.
People hate being asked for money, but hate missing up on great opportunities.
Facts.
They love opportunities, right?
Right.
So, you show them the opportunity. So 8% of their money, maybe they're making 6%. So you offer them 10%. Don't be so concerned with the rate that you're giving them, because the more money they make, the more money they want to give you.
Yeah.
Right. And so when I say this, every single person that you meet is a potential private lender. So we're in New York City right now,
yes, sir.
right, doing this podcast. I would say about 7-8 years back, I was on the subway, right, going to visit some friends that live on the West Village, and there was a lady sitting next to me on the train. And so she had her Gucci purse. She had this rock on her finger the size of like a melon, right? And I was like, so I tapped her on the shoulder. I was like, excuse me, miss, what is your name? She looked at me like I was crazy, because nobody talks to anybody in the subway, right? Everyone's in their own self.
Right.
And so I was like, excuse me, miss, her name was Jerry. And so she said, what is your name? I said, my name's Sayam. And I said, what do you do? She says, well, I'm an attorney, right? I says, oh, great. That's awesome. Do you know why I asked her what does she do?
Because you wanted to see if she could help you work on a deal?
That was one. But what's the next question when you ask somebody what they do? What is the next question they're going to ask you? What do you do?
Right. Oh, I'm a real estate investor.
I'm a real estate investor. Right? Have you ever seen those TV shows where they buy houses, they fix them up, and they sell them, and it's all this chaos, but in the end, they make this big fat check? And she's like, yeah, I used to love watching this XYZ show. I was like, yeah, that's exactly what I did. She literally closed her book, and she's like, oh my gosh, that sounds like so much fun, right? I was like, yes, it is fun, but I want to hear more about you, right? So I let her talk. We were on the train for like 20 minutes. I actually missed my stop just talking to her because we were jiving, right?
Right.
And I let her talk about everything she did. And I said, look, what are you doing tomorrow? I'd love to buy you a coffee. I'll tell you more about what I did. So you had all these questions, right? You talked about you. I'd love to tell you about what I did. She said, sure, no problem. So I met her in Soho, and we grabbed a coffee. And I showed her all these things I just told you about, how the money is secured by real estate. I showed her before and after pictures of deals that we've done. I've showed her, real estate projects, what makes it real and makes you get people excited. And she said, how could I get involved in something like this? Right?
Now the conversation starts.
Exactly.
You understand?
Exactly.
Okay.
I was like, well, where do you currently invest in now? And she says, well, I have my money in mutual funds. It's paying me like 4%. I was like, okay, 4% is not bad. Doing really good. Do you know what inflation is today? And she was like, not really. I was like, it's like 6%. All right. So you're actually happily losing money.
Just letting it sit there.
Exactly.
Right.
And so I was like, what if I could show you an opportunity that can pay you 8, 9, or even 10% on your money so you can fight inflation, all right, make some money, all right, and get involved in these crazy real estate projects that, excite you.
Right.
And she's like, yeah, I'd love to. So actually, I said, give me a day or two and I'll have some options for you. So sent over some little pitch packets, which I'm happy to share with you guys as well.
Okay.
And,
we don't do that.
And she was like, oh my gosh, let me see if I can do it. I was asking her for $50,000 because I was using hard money to purchase a house in Fort Lauderdale. All right. And I just needed what's called the gap funding. So the down payment, the holding costs. Remember I told you all the money we need to do the deal on the bottom?
Yes, sir.
It was like $26,000 the deal I was showing you. And this scenario was $50,000. Right. And she's like, all right, let me give me a couple days to get back to you. So if a couple days pass, I call her back. She's like, I got the money. I was like, all right, cool, $50,000. She's like, nah, I'm gonna give you the full $700,000 for the deal.
Hey.
I was like, what?
Hey.
Oh, I was like, what?
Yo.
Yes.
Crazy.
Yes. You got to put yourself out there.
Right.
If you don't start that conversation, you have a 100% chance of not getting the money.
Goodness. And then what happened after that? So she gave you the $700,000.
So we went through a title company. She sent the money to the title company. We did the documents and everything. They released the money. She secured her interest. She got the mortgage into the property. So she had the collateral. We did the deal. We made $101,000 in that deal, right? And she made $40,000 on her money passively. Never even saw the house. And what do you think she did when she got the wire back from the title company?
Let's go ahead and do it again.
Can we do it again?
You understand?
Can we do it again?
Right.
And we did it 7 times until she ended up getting divorced with her husband, right? And so they had to split the money, and they had some financial stuff that they had to deal with between each other. But she's still a friend to this day.
Still a friend to this day. So the moral of the story, ladies and gentlemen, if you're on the subway, go ahead and tap that person's next to you. They might just have $700,000 just sitting there waiting for you. That's incredible, dog. But once again, to your point, a private money, I could be a private money lender, but don't ask me for no money. But I could be a private money lender, right? But you never know who might be out there that may be willing to finance a deal, because essentially you're doing all the heavy lifting for them as the investor, and you're getting them returns that they wouldn't get from their money sitting in the bank. They wouldn't get from their money sitting in a high yield savings account.
Correct.
And you're doing the work for them, right? It's a no brainer, right?
Exactly.
As long as, of course, you're doing what you need to do as an investor, but it's a no brainer.
I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
Okay.
See, the crazy thing is that, there's everyone out there is a potential private money lender. It could be your grandmother, it could be your neighbor, your coworker, right? And you don't have to ask them for $50,000 or $100,000. You can ask them for $5,000, right? More people have $5,000 than have $100,000. Right? You get 2 or 3 people, 4 people with $5,000. Now you got $20,000. You can go out there and do a deal. You get hard money. Now you got your deal 100% funded using other people's money.
Other people's money. That's my category.
Right.
This is good. Okay. Now, one of the things you said, you talked about some of your own, I think you said packets, some of the deals that you've done yourself. Can we break that down, like some actual deals that you've done?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's break it down.
All right, so I actually have a couple deals here.
Okay.
Right? So I have some deals that this closed 2 weeks ago. We just sold it.
Oh, so this is very recent.
Some of these are recent. This was like a month or two ago, and this is one that I've owned for a few years, but I wanted to show you a great BRRRR strategy.
Let's do it.
Deal. All right, so this first house, 3502 Monticello Boulevard in Cleveland, Ohio. All right, we purchased the house for $66,000. It was a probate scenario. I don't know if you know what probate is, but when someone passes away,
right,
the heirs inherit the property. We bought it through a probate scenario, right? So the heirs lived in California. The house is in Cleveland, Ohio. They're like, I don't want to go to Cleveland, all right, and deal with this house. What can you offer me for the house? I ended up buying it for $66,000. We spent $39,000 renovating the home. And, so all in for purchase and rehab at 105. We sold the house for $190,000. After closing costs and everything, we made $57,451 on this deal. But here's the kicker. We financed 90% of it with hard money. Okay?
So you just had to come up with the other 10?
Only had to put 10% down at $10,500 on this deal. So we made $57,000 off of a $10,000 investment. Bro, we literally killed it. We killed
Goodness gracious.
So
bro.
you don't need to be rich to do real estate deals. That $10,000 can come from you, or that $10,000 can come from a private money lender. That $10,000 can come from a potential partner if you wanted to bring in a partner on the deal, right? I'm all for 50% of a deal. I think 50% of a deal is better than 100% of nothing, right? If you don't get the deal done. So there's different ways to fund deals.
Before we break it down, you said something. I almost forgot. What's that third financing option? I forget. Yeah, I see you smile. I didn't forget. What was the third financing option you talked about?
I'm about to drop the mic for this one, man.
Okay, let's go. Right. If you say something too crazy, I'll walk out the studio. You laughing. Josh has seen me do it many times. Go ahead. What is it? Break it down for me.
All right. So I told you guys you can finance your deal using hard money. You can finance your deal using private money. How about you turn your seller into your lender, right? So I told you guys there's 3 strategies that do really well for me over the years, right? That I bought 98% of the deals, 95% of the deals that I've done over the past 15 years. All right. So literally over 90% of people that go out and look at a deal, they focus on the MLS. These strategies are almost never going to come into play using the MLS. But when you're talking direct to seller, now you can make magic happen, right? So, one of my top strategies is buying properties from retiring landlords. Okay. People who've owned properties from 30, 40, 50 years, right? They paid probably pennies compared to what I'm paying them today. So the purchase price I'm paying them is already profit, right? They've collected rent for multiple years. So they've already gotten their money back on the property. So everything they're getting is all profit, right? And sometimes they're just tired. They want to retire. They want to move. They don't want to work anymore, whatever the situation may be, right? So I'll say, okay, I'm buying your house, Mr. Seller, for $100,000. You paid $20,000 for this house 30 years ago. All right. How about this? Let me go get a bank to finance this purchase. All right. I'll give you 80% of the purchase price from the bank. So now you're 4Xing your money into this deal, and you've already collected your rent, and you're into it for nothing. All right. And why don't you seller finance the down payment for 5 years? It's called a seller holdback. Right.
Okay.
So in 5 years, I'll make monthly payments to you for the last 20%. So I could buy this deal paying nothing but just closing costs. And when I implemented this strategy, I bought 300 houses over 2.5 years.
300 houses over and it's called seller hold?
Using a seller holdback, having the seller finance the down payment for you. So you can buy a property using the bank to buy it. They finance the down payment, and all I got to come up with is the closing costs. And guess what? I put a tenant in that property at $1,500. The payment, including paying the seller, is $1,000. I'm cashing in $500 each and every month with almost no money into that property. Now, not every deal's like this, right? But when they do, it's pretty damn sweet.
What is going on this episode right now? Okay, all right. This is getting good. It's been good, but you keep setting the bar. Keep setting the bar. So we have private money, hard money, and seller holdback.
Seller financing, but they're financing the down payment, and you're bringing most of the purchase price from the bank.
Got you. Okay, got you. And pretty much, like you said, 300 houses that you've been able to do with that over the course of the past 2.5 years. Are any of these? Did you use that strategy for any of these properties here?
So I didn't. I'm gonna show you. I didn't. I should have pulled one for that,
That's
but
cool.
I didn't. But this strategy works. Why would you might say? Why would a seller finance the down payment? Because it allows them to get most of their money up front. They don't have to worry about the property anymore. They don't have to answer calls from a leaky plumbing, or a leaky sink.
Right.
And they don't have to show multiple buyers that property. They put it in the market and they have a tenant in that property. Now they got to bring 10, 20, 15 people to that property, getting the tenant scared, coordinating with them. It's a lot of work, right? And they're like, I deal with one person. He's taking over my problem, and I get to collect interest. I make a little bit of money on that interest on that down payment, and it's a done deal, right? So it's a win-win for both parties.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Going back to the sheet.
Let's do it.
All right. So I have another deal here. This deal I funded 100% using private money. Okay. So this is in Toledo, Ohio. You purchased the house for $90,000.
Right.
Put $20,000 renovation. Total purchase and rehab is $110,000. We sold it for $151,000. After closing costs, holding costs, we made $29,000 in this house, and we had it 100% funded by a private lender. And here's the kicker: the private lender funded it from their retirement account. All right. So guess what? All the interest that we paid back to them went back tax-free or tax-deferred, depending on which account they had.
Right.
So they just allowed their savings to build up even faster without having to check to Uncle Sam.
What's going on in this real estate game right now? Dog? This is crazy.
Yeah, man.
Listen, I might have to stop this podcast, dog. This is crazy. What about this other one down here?
Yeah, so this is the BRRRR strategy. This is my bread and butter, what we've done for years to come, right? So we bought a property for $305,000. It was someone behind on taxes. It was a 9-unit multifamily building in Columbus, Ohio.
Okay.
Columbus is on fire, man.
Right.
I love Columbus, Ohio. Right. Bought it for $305,000. We spent $75,000 renovating the property. Now, when we bought it, we used hard money and private money. Hard money for the majority of the purchase, and the private money for the down payment and holding costs. So we literally bought this using zero of our own money. Right. Then we renovated the home after the building. After the property was done, we went to the bank to refinance it to pay the hard money and private money lender off, and it appraised for $600,000. All right. That's commercial real estate, baby. One commercial deal could change your life.
What are we doing?
All right. So we were able to refinance $450,000 out of the property.
Right.
Into it for $380,000. Right. After closing costs all said and done, we're able to pull out $50,000 refinancing that property. That's profits us now. And it's tax-free because we ain't sell the property. We refinanced it. Good. So I put $50,000 in my pocket, and we keep the property now. We've had it for like 3 years, making $7,000 a month in rent on this property. To own it with taxes, insurance, mortgage payment, it costs us $4,000 a month, this property. So every month I make $3,000 on this one building. This is one of 600 that we got, right? If we make $3,000 on this one building every single month, remember I told you about the DSCR,
right?
Debt service coverage ratio? Look at that number. It's 1.75.
Aye.
So any bank would love this deal.
Aye. Listen. This is 1 out of 600. Like we could just go through your entire portfolio, and this is
knocking it out.
This is okay.
The biggest risk that most entrepreneurs take is trying to build a successful business without funding. But that risk is a reality for 1 out of every 3 entrepreneurs because their personal credit isn't where it needs to be in order for them to access that capital. Now, the truth is you can close the gap between where your business is versus where you want it to be by leveraging business credit, but if your personal credit report is poor, 99% of banks and lenders are going to deny you from doing so. And I should know, because a couple of years ago, I leveraged my personal credit report to get funding from Chase to start my company. And now that very same company, Takeoff Financial, is serving entrepreneurs just like you that are looking to restore their credit to get access to 5 to 6 figures in funding. So if you want to go from risk to reward, click the link above or below this video to schedule your free consultation so that we can restore your credit and put you in position to access capital to build the business of your dreams.
Now, this is where it gets interesting, right? Because you said something very key, and this perfectly segues into like my next question. You talked about refinance.
Sure.
So we talked a lot about the financing on the front end in terms of seller holdback, private money, hard money. Like, where do we get the money to secure the deal? We secured the deal, we got it. Great. Along the way, we renovated the property, right? We added some value to it, right? And we did the numbers on the front end to get an idea of what that would look like on the back end. For you personally, in speaking to investors, I know that when it comes to like leveraging the equity that's in the property, we have the typical refinance property, but I've also heard of something called like HELOCs,
Sure.
right? Home equity lines of credit.
Yeah.
So between the two, what would you say, how do we know which route we should go as investors? Is that something we determine on the front end? Is that something we're seeing?
So it actually, the answer is already there for us, because for most real estate investors, HELOCs aren't always an option, right? A lot of times HELOCs are for owner-occupied homes. If you're an investor, you own 1 or 2 homes in your name, then a HELOC works. But for the business that I'm in, because we're very corporate, I guess you say, right? We own a lot of properties. It's not even an option for me. So we'll go and refinance the property every 1 or 2 years, right? And then keep pulling cash out, keep pulling cash out, keep pulling cash out. I hate leaving cash sitting in a property.
No, I need that.
Because I ain't using it, right?
Give me
making
that.
me money. Exactly.
Let me go use that to buy 600 more houses.
Exactly.
You understand?
Exactly. So every couple years, the benefit of real estate is that it tends to go up over time. Yeah, you got these little dips where, it might drop in value because of the market change. But if you look at properties 20 years ago, look at properties 10 years ago, you look at properties today, I'll almost bet any single person in the room that is worth more today than it was 10 years ago.
Facts.
Right? So that just means every time you see appreciation, if it's enough, you go refinance it again. You use one of these investor-friendly banks like Kiavi, right? Or People's Bank. There's tons of them out there, right? And you use them and you pull the equity out at a low rate. And so you just allow it to cash flow. The biggest thing, just make sure your debt service coverage ratio is positive so you're not in a bad jam.
Listen, man, I said it before and I'll say it again. I've sat down with a lot of people that have done some great things in the real estate space. This may very well be my favorite real estate episode I've done today.
Okay.
Like, the value that you provided on here was absolutely crazy. And what's insane about it is we've only been here for like an hour, and you literally, people talk about $1 million worth of game. You literally just gave away $1 million worth of game and then some. Here's what's insane. You just broke down $1 million worth of game in an hour of us sitting down. But from what I understand, you have a 5-day challenge coming up.
Yes, sir.
So I only got to sit down and break this down for an hour. You have a challenge coming up where you're going to be with aspiring and new investors, not for 1 day, not for 2 days, but for basically an entire week. And this is just a tip of the iceberg when we talk about what comes with this real estate game. Can you talk a little bit about that challenge?
Yeah, sure. So it's July 8th, and it's going to be 5 days, and you're going to spend, 2 hours with me, right, and my team, and we're going to be breaking down the entire real estate game, right? So we're going to show you, at the end of 5 days, you're going to know how to enter any real estate market in the country, analyze a deal, figure out which is the best strategy to use, whether it's BRRRR, fix and flip, whatever it may be, and then go and execute it. At the end of 5 days, you're going to literally have the lenders that I've spent the last 15 years building relationships with. I'm handing them to you during that challenge so you can go out there and close deals. My goal is that by the end of those 5 days, everyone in that challenge has their first deal in contract. I'm literally going to hand people vetted deals by me and my team saying, all right, you just learned everything about real estate. Here's a few deals. Pick one, go out there and close it and put everything you learn into practice.
Come on now.
I'm a big believer that if you could do something one time, you could do it 10, 20, 30, 50 times, right? So I want to give you that head start.
I love it. And this challenge, like you said, is going to be taking place from July 8th all the way to July
14th.
July 14th. Got you. And the link for that is going to be placed in the description of this episode.
Yes, sir.
You just gave a real estate masterclass in the hour of us sitting down here from top to bottom. Acquisition, financing, resources that we can use, literally showing people, right, and breaking it down. And also for the calculator, we're going to be giving to people that too.
Absolutely.
Okay, got you. That's going to be in the description as well. Before we get out of here, for those who are interested, of course, they're going to jump on the challenge in the description. For those who want to leverage some of the resources, they have the full blueprint. As we close out, I want to speak to some people that, because one of the biggest things I've learned in any field of entrepreneurship, the biggest problem that people have is it's not that they don't know the resources. It's not that they don't know where to go or what to do or how to do it. It's the mental block of kind of jumping over that hurdle of knowing that they can go out and do it, right? So for any investor that's watching this, they got the information. They're going to get even more once they join the challenge. What would you say to those investors that are still kind of dealing with that internal battle of taking that next step and investing in themselves and taking that step into real estate?
I have a couple of things to say, right? People want the lifestyle. They want the result of the hard work of being successful, but a lot of people are unwilling to invest in themselves to get there, right? People are so willing. Real estate is not a get rich quick scheme, right? It is work. I've worked hard to get to this point today, right? So you got to be able to work without looking at the clock, so that when you want to go out and purchase stuff, you don't got to look at the bank account, right? Before you make the purchase.
Very true.
You got to, I know people that are, at their job and they're constantly looking at the clock every 5 minutes before they clock out, right? Because they're like, all right, I don't want to be here anymore. But they're constantly wondering, why do I need to look at my bank statement before I pay the bill, right? So these are things that I want you guys to know, that real estate's gonna be work. I've sacrificed weekends, right? I've sacrificed summers. I've sacrificed my kids' birthdays in the beginning of my business, right? I did those sacrifices so that my future self would thank me for all the work and hard work I put in, right? So same thing for you guys, right? Real estate is not hard. It's actually very easy. You just need to follow a blueprint, right? Just like I did, right? I'm not gonna say I'm a pioneer and I made this up myself. I follow people that are already doing it. Find someone, find a mentor. It doesn't got to be me, right? Find someone that you connect well with, that you jive with, and you latch onto them and learn everything you possibly can. And you know what's gonna happen? You put the work in now. 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years from now, you're gonna be so thankful that you did it, man, right? Because you're gonna have your freedom back and you have your time back. You're gonna be able to go do the things you want to do. I mean, today, I flew in here today from Jamaica. Right? My family's in Jamaica right now. Yeah. Right? We're on vacation. I flew this morning, right, to come here to be with you today. I'm flying back out tomorrow, continue my vacation, right? And this is actually, believe it or not, this is the first podcast that I've been on, right?
And you crushed it.
So you got to get out of your comfort zone when you're looking to do something new. Real estate's just like that. It was a little bit weird and awkward for me in the beginning, but I talked to tons of millionaires, right? And what I found repeatedly is that millionaires are always outside of their comfort zone. They're always a little bit nervous. They're always stretching the barrier. Growth happens just outside your comfort zone.
Right.
If you're comfortable all the time and you're not nervous and you're not scared,
probably doing something wrong.
You're probably doing something wrong. You're not growing, right? So get outside your comfort zone, find a mentor like I did. Like I said, it doesn't have to be me. Hold on to them, invest in yourself, and you're gonna see that, 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now, you're set, man. Real estate makes millionaires every single day. My question is, why not you?
There you go. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes this episode of the Marvin Francois Show. And if you haven't already, what are you doing? Make sure you take a second, take a minute, take an hour out of your day right here, right now, to go ahead and subscribe to the channel, slap the like button. But more importantly, make sure you get tapped in and wrapped in to Sayam's 5-day challenge. Is going to be jam-packed with value. If you thought this was good, Lord have mercy. 5 days with this man literally walking you through every single nook and cranny of the real estate game is going to be through the roof. My guy, I appreciate you for coming through, and I appreciate each and every single one of y'all for tapping into this episode. As always, I'm Marvin Francois, Sayam Ibrahim. Y'all have been good. We've been great. This has been amazing. Thank you, and God bless. Peace, family.
Let's go, guys.